your host for the Vlog. I'm Mike Lindsay, and we have
Jessica Gwynn here in Knoxville, Tennessee of the Vlog. And Kim, you are on mute.
Okay, I'm muted. Hi, Kim Ock from West Tennessee, Parsons.
And we are fortunate to have with us two special guests for this feature of the Vlog. We're going to let them introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll get started with the show.
Gary Bell, the man, I don't want to call myself the savant of girls basketball, but I will. I started Major Moves Basketball Review, Major Moves Media, about 5 years ago. My daughter plays, my twin sisters played at Campbell, my little cousin played at UNCW, Shaneri Bell. Basketball runs deep in my family. I played at Notre Dame, played at NC State, North Carolina Central before the transfer portal. So I was pre-transfer portal, went to 3 different Division I schools. And so, man, I'm just so happy to be here. Happy to be a spokesperson for women's basketball. Women's basketball really runs very dear and near to my heart. And I just thank you guys for having me up here today.
Awesome. I'm Keith Booker. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am just a girl dad who loves girls basketball, who's an honest guy, who loves to write about it, talk about it, view it, and who was fortunate enough to run into Coach Bell a little over a year ago. And we formed a relationship that has led to us working together and provided me a forum and a platform to analyze and critique our favorite sport. And so we thank you guys for having us, you Vlog folks, for having us on the show this morning, and look forward to having a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into it, I do want to just remind people about Tamari Key if they want to send any cards, Mike, if that's cool. So most of you all know who listen to our show, or you should know since you followed the Lady Vols basketball program. Our starting center, Tamari Key, is out for the year with blood clots in her lungs, but she's traveling with the team. So we just learned this week she got clearance to travel. So she's actually at Stanford. So appears to be in good spirits. But if anyone wants to send a card to her who listens to our show and you haven't learned of this address yet, you can send a card to Tamari Key at the Lady Vol basketball office. It's at 207 Thompson Bowling Arena, 1600 Philip Fulmer Way, and that's Knoxville 37996. So we just want to continue to flood Tamari with well wishes as she's out for this season. We'll see kind of what's next for her. Just happy that she's with the team and traveling though. So I just wanted to call that out. And then we'll kind of jump into the meat of the show, which is really about Major Moves. And Gary, you kind of touched on it. Tell us how you all kind of got started. Obviously, we know you're pretty passionate about women's basketball. So just tell me about everything you guys are doing.
Well, it really started, I was transitioning from being a special ed coordinator in North Carolina. And I was in Harnett County, Mecklenburg County, Ashe County, Guilford County, teaching all around. And I was head boys basketball coach. And then I got an opportunity to get into the girls game. And me being a teacher first, and very passionate about learning and being a special needs teacher, and particularly just I just had this yearning and this burning desire to really impact the girls game because I felt like it was getting overlooked. My twin sisters, Gara and Cara Bell, who played at Campbell, they had their little games in that little small gym in Campbell University. And I was just like, man, like, what's the difference between girls and boys? Like, really, what's the difference? And me being a high profile boys player, coming out of high school, I was #1 player in Illinois and Chicago, was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, did all these things, but I was trying to figure out, like, realistically, like, honestly, like, what was the difference? And then I said, you know, it was the media, it was the push behind it. It was somebody with a voice that had credentials who were doing this, that could really be an advocate and really say that the girls' game is in a great position. There are a lot of talented young ladies out there and they need their flowers. And so that was kind of my philosophical beginnings with it. And then 2018 in particularly, me and another gentleman from North Carolina who was a North Carolina Central graduate with me, T.R. Ramsey, was in Durham, and I had just recently relocated back to Chester. And so we said, you know what, let's put together the best girls teams from Richmond all the way to Durham, which is a natural corridor because it's right down 85. And so we did that our first year. We had Ryan Lawrence, Lindsay Sue, Kaylin Williams, Allery Bell, Kamaya Williams, Trinity Dale, and a slew of other young ladies that we kind of all meshed together. And we went on the road and we played at Insider Exposure. We played at Zero Gravity, played at Run for the Roses. And that was my first real taste of girls travel ball. And it didn't taste very pleasing. I noticed some things that were going on, and I said, you know what, if you're not part of the problem, then be part of the solution. And this is how Major Moves started. Again, you know, I wanted to provide a legitimate platform that wasn't doing all of, and let's just be honest, there's a lot of mama and daddy ball going on, right? And so I wanted to be somebody that was a straight shooter being a teacher, because you have to be honest being a teacher. You can have your favorite student, but however, you can't give preferential treatment unless it's in their IEP. That's, you know, had to throw my special needs shout out in there. But, you know, it was just about providing a platform for young women to expound upon, and so that they could get their talents recognized from someone that was actually in the mix. Because when you really think about it, how many players have obtained college scholarships based off of a newspaper write-up? I don't really think a lot have. And when you really think about it, this thing is about relationships and direct placement and fit and function, more so than about talent and merit, you know. And so when I saw those things going on, I said, you know what, I need to begin to create a network, just like I did on the men's side. And so it's just been going. And, you know, I started with no attachment, and just been putting out honest content, and had an opportunity to meet Keith Booker. And the funny thing about it is we never actually physically met before. And so it was like one of these things where, you know, I don't want to get religious, but, you know, God will put certain people in your life at certain times, and you have to understand how they fit in your life and try to come together and do something greater for the benefit of the whole, more so than the individual. And so I saw that he was honest, he was frank, he shot from the hip, he definitely shot first and asked questions last. And I saw that, and so I said, you know what, I like that. That's what I need around me. That's what I want to bring to Major Moves. And plus, geographically, you know, I'm in Roanoke Rapids and Chester. That's 4 hours away from Charlotte. So we really couldn't, you know, I couldn't do it. And so what I have to do is I have to surround myself with great people, and people that I trust to get the job done. And he's been doing a phenomenal job. And, you know, we're just getting started. We're just really getting started. We're really just tipping the iceberg on some of the things that we're trying to unveil. And instill in the girls game. And, you know, I just think, again, thank you for your platform, because this is what the girls game needs. It needs more voices. And that's another thing that I think that separates girls from boys is just the visibility. When you go to ESPN, what are you seeing? You're not seeing Stephen A. talk about Kelly. You're not seeing Stephen A. talk about Gino. But you're seeing Stephen A. talk about all these men and all this men drama that is really pointless. And so that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I want to be. Because like I said, I have a master's degree, 2 master's degree, working on a doctorate. So all that, and I got the credentials to put it up basketball, education wise. So now it's just time to get this girl game on steroids. Let's pump it up. Let's pump it out on social media. Since we're in the social media age, let's get it out there. Let's let everybody know that there deserves to be equality in the funding. There deserves to be equality in the exposure. There deserves to be equality in the development of the girls game.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry
feel
for going off on
no,
my
I was gonna say
diatribe.
it's kind of like talking to Mike. You and Mike have
love
some parallels, which
Yeah.
Mike can kind of touch on. But no, thank you for, you know, growing the women's game. That's, you know, our platform's kind of saying we're kind of centered around University of Tennessee, but we like to talk about all things women's basketball too. And it's about providing a platform and also providing a positive platform too, because with social media, gosh, especially this year, you've seen all kinds of craziness. So we try to be a little bit of a positive voice out there, especially around women's sports too. And I just want to touch on one thing really quickly. And then Mike, I know you've got lots of things to probably say since you all are very similar backgrounds too. It's kind of cool. But I was watching, and I told Mike and Kim this, my husband is a Bama fan. I hate to even say that, but he is. He's an Alabama fan. So he follows all of their sports, including their women's sports. And they were on TV this week. I want to say they were either on SEC Network or ESPN2. It didn't even look like there were 10 fans in that arena for the University of Alabama women's basketball program. And they were 8-2 or 9-2. I just felt really bad for those girls. So I love that we're having this conversation, because it made me sad for those student athletes. Like, we're fortunate that we support the University of Tennessee and we have fans in the seats, but we could still have more fans in the seats. So I just want to touch on that, because you hit home when you were just talking about bringing the visibility to the women's game. But I'm going to hand it over to Mike, because I know he's probably got a lot to comment there on what you said too.
Yeah. First, Gary, I commend you. Special educator myself, started in special education, still in special education, taught 6 years. And then I transitioned to general ed, but now I'm an in-school suspension person at my school.
Okay.
Education is my thing. IEPs were my thing, but not as much anymore, because there's a lot into it. But just commend you for the work that you're putting in. And also, you said you guys, you and Keith, Divine Intervention, that's how just Kim and I met. We were in a group, Lady Vols group, and we started seeing the negativity, and we kind of said, hey, how can we help grow the game and keep it positive for our Lady Vols? And we decided I came up with the idea of trying to follow these young ladies in different locations and going to their gyms when they announced that they were coming to the University of Tennessee. And since we had fans all over the place, we thought that would be a good idea. And then we were like, well, we don't want to hurt recruiting by doing that. Maybe we can help it another way. And that's when just came up with the idea, hey, let's do a podcast. And we've been on board ever since. Kim and I, Kim with all her resources all over social media and the connects that she's made. And everyone thinks she's one of the coaches on the coaching staff. And we all just play our part and do what we do to not only just grow our game, our girls, but also girls all over the country. Because believe it or not, we actually cheer for all of women's basketball. We love our Lady Vols first, but we love all women's teams, and we cheer on all women's teams. So let's touch on Keith. Let Keith go and just share how he got affiliated with you, Gary, and go from there.
Well, like Coach said, we had never met, and I was just an admirer of his work ethic. I mean, he's a tireless worker. Somebody who I'll get a text at 3 a.m. and he'll be up asking me about content and this girl and that girl and whatnot. And I appreciate that. Well, that's what we do now. But just before, I was just an admirer of his, because I was like, this man is really doing all this work and putting in all this effort and really watching the games, really watching NFHS, really in the gyms doing this thing. And I've always admired people who roll up their sleeves and get to work. And so finally we got a chance to meet, ironically, at the place I'm at right now in Indian Trail, North Carolina. His daughter Allery was coming down for a tournament. My daughter Lily wasn't playing that weekend, but I was like, I'm gonna go out and meet Gary Bell. And we just clicked. He's a straight shooter. He's not in this for any other reason other than to just grow the game. There are no hidden agendas. And we vibed and clicked immediately. And thankfully, I think our skill sets complement each other because from a technical standpoint and from a social media standpoint, I'm a novice. I'm just now kind of mastering email because I'm just an old country lawyer by trade. But I also think I bring some writing skills to the table and some observational skills. And like Gary said, I'm in a place which I consider to be the epicenter of talent it's definitely on the East Coast, Charlotte, North Carolina. I say you can drive 2 hours to the west, 2 hours to the north, 2 hours to the south, and hit some of the best girls basketball in the country. So my location's a blessing. My interaction with Gary's been a blessing. I have a 17-year-old daughter who is a 24 who has played with and against so many of these great players. They just seem like a natural fit. I'm in these gyms anyway. I might as well not only enjoy what I'm watching, but document it. And like Gary said, give these girls their flowers because there's so many girls all across the country, all across our region playing well and doing great things. And like you say, just breaks your heart when you see just sometimes the apathy in some places. And it's a great game we have. And I love the way Gary promotes it. I think he said some kind words about me. Sometimes, Gary's the best boss in the world to have because we're like a gang, right? He can talk about me, but you can't talk about me. And I love that support he gives me from the standpoint of as long as what you're putting out is factual and accurate, I'll back you to the hilt. And we catch smoke from time to time because a lot of people want to, treat the girls' game with kid gloves, but we don't do it like that. We base our observations on merits because ultimately, if we want the girls' game to grow into what we all wanted to grow into, we can't treat it with kid gloves. We got to treat it with the same vigor and passion and respect that the men's game gets treated with. And Coach Bell has afforded me that opportunity, and I can't be more pleased.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at the work you all are doing. And Keith, I follow you and Gary, I don't know if you get out as much as Keith to these gyms, but I'm just amazed at Keith making it to all of these games. I would love to have the time to even do that here in East Tennessee.
Well, Gary would, but he has this little future WNBA All-Star in 2051 that he's still. Gary has. I have old babies. Gary has a new baby, so sometimes it makes it a little bit harder for him to get to the gymnasiums. But trust me, he's watching the video. He's making the calls. Yeah. He's talking to the important people. I just have a little bit more accessibility at this point because my kids are all grown.
Right. Yeah, Mike is kind of in your situation, Gary, with his young ones too. So a little bit harder for Mike to get out. Kim and I can get out.
It makes it a challenge, but
yeah.
Honestly, and my wife will tell you she's she's always my biggest supporter and my biggest critic. But she says, how many games can you possibly watch? Like, that's the question that she asked me. Like, how many games, like, is there a limit? And she would be like, hey, let's go get something to eat. And I'd be like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me finish watching this North Meck Mallet Creek. Okay, I'm in 3:21 left in the third quarter. Mallet Creek just took the lead by 1. And now here comes North Meck finishing up that game. And so people are like, are you really watching all these games? Yes, really. And I wish I could show you my setup, but I have like 6 laptops, 2 flat screen TVs, and all of them are hooked up, plugged up. And I got games running on every single one. And I'm in my rolling chair and I literally roll from down
All
to,
right,
and
he
back.
got his feet.
And it's just like, it's just like anything with being great, right? I just think that people are born with choices. Either you can choose to be below average, you can choose to be average, you can be above average, you can be elite. And in order to be elite at something, you have to be willing to sacrifice, and you have to be willing to give up those comforts that keep people below average and above average. And, to be elite at this game, I just feel like nobody can outwork me. Just like how I came from humble beginnings in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I moved to Chicago, and nobody knew who I was. And then I had to work my way up to be the #1 player in the state. And then this guy by the name of Kevin Garnett comes and moves to my state. And now I'm just erased from history, all because of one move. Like all of my 2,500 and 1,200 points and all of that. And so I was just,
He's not bitter about this at all, is he?
no, right?
This fire doesn't burn 25 years later, does it?
25 years later. So that still just fuels me every day to just be the best at this, to know, honestly, from every girl from Florida to Georgia to Alabama to Mississippi, Tennessee to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, New York. Like, I want to know every single girl, and it's just consuming me. But the fact of the matter is that I think that it's great for the young ladies to have somebody that's going to be willing to sacrifice. Because let's just be honest, a lot of people talk about they're always in the gym, but they're always in the gym only when they're making money at the gym. That's the only time you're in the gym, is when you're making money. You're not always in the gym. Like, if I didn't have a 2-year-old, I would be in so many gyms, it would be ridiculous. But because I do have the 2-year-old, and she's sleeping right now because last night she wanted to stay up till 3 a.m. in the morning, watching Miss Rachel for Babies. That's a great show for all you parents out there. There's no excuse for your children not to go to school and know the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Let's make it easy on the education system. Already equipped the children. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to throw that out.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I have to say, though, you've got to be making a difference for some of these student athletes, though, who aren't getting the recognition, and you're bringing the recognition to people that otherwise a lot of people probably wouldn't know about. I mean, just being on Twitter, I see a lot of young ladies, trying to get offers and, tweeting their highlights and whatnot. So what you guys are doing have to be helping and equating to some scholarships for some young ladies as well.
Well, I do have a success story. There was a young lady, Gracie Hufford. She was from the southwestern part of Virginia. No one knew about her.
Yep.
She was 6'3". So that sparked my interest. Being a big person and having a big daughter, and bigs always get overlooked in this day and age of basketball. So when I saw the 6'3" young lady, I said, okay. And then me being a researcher, I just started. Then I figured out that she was an equestrian. She rode horses. And then I just started thinking to myself, wait a minute, she's 6'3", and the average jockey is 5'3". She's a whole foot taller than the average. So her core stability is so good that she can maintain her balance on a horse. So that led me to kind of figure out, no one's ever really taught this young lady how to play basketball, because if she could ride a horse at 6'3", that's a foot over the normal size for a jockey, that her core stability is unbelievable to be able to do this. And we all know that basketball is all about core stability. If you can't maintain your position in basketball, you're going to be done. There are a lot of great players who couldn't play above the rim, and their core stability enabled them to be effective basketball players. So with that analogy, I reached out to her, had her on my show, my Major Monday platform. And then Keith and I also started another show called Mid-Atlantic Hoops that we're gonna have to get you guys on. You, Mike, and Kim and Jess, y'all gonna have to come on Mid-Atlantic Hoops. And then before you know it, Boo Williams, the elite Boo Williams himself reached out and inquired about the young lady. And she's on the team. And the next week she got a William and Mary offer from Coach Aaron Dickerson and Coach Sugar Rogers. And you know, that's what it's about for me. Taking a girl that was nobody knew about, that was an unknown 6'3" post player from Southwest Virginia, that no one ever looks in the talent there, and to bring her to the platform. And within 2 weeks, she get a William and Mary offer. I just think that just made my heart just melt. Her mother, Belinda, called me crying, saying, "Thank you so much, Mr. Bell." But I was just like, no, just thank you for allowing me to have your daughter on my platform. Because a lot of people be like, you know, why are you contacting my daughter to even have her on the show? You know, because you got to be leery of people contacting your children these days. You just have to be leery. And so I just think, thankfully, she was trustworthy enough to have that faith in me. And we got an offer from William and Mary, and this young lady is going to be playing on the Boo Williams EYBL circuit, the top circuit, and you know, the sky's the limit for her.
Yeah, she'll get a lot more offers now. Speaking of that, let's go into you guys' evaluation process. We can start with Keith. One of the things we were wondering was, how do you guys scout and evaluate what goes into the process, and you looking for players? Is it specific things that you guys look for when you're looking at these talented young ladies?
Well, from my perspective, I mean, the game's changed, and basketball's become a positional sport. I mean, you have to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot, defend the post, and defend individually on the perimeter. And so I look for people who can do those things, and not necessarily height, weight, arm length, any of those things. Just, can you dribble? Can you pass? Can you shoot? Are you a good teammate? Are you a person who can make your teammates better? Are you a two-way player? Because obviously that delves into team chemistry when you're a person who just wants to score the basketball, but then you're not willing to do the things on the other end of the floor, like rebound and hedge on screens and communicate on defense. And also, how do you handle adversity? I'm just as interested in seeing a young lady play and how she performs when she's playing in a situation where she's down 20 as when she's up 20. Are you a front runner? Are you somebody who's good when things are the stars are aligned perfectly? Or are you a person who's going to keep fighting even when you get your butt kicked and it doesn't look like that's going to be changing anytime? So that, and again, Gary is the brains behind this thing because he actually played at a high level. I was a Division I athlete also, but I think I bring a different kind of analysis to the table because I played linebacker at 5'10" at Division I level, and so I look for certain things like toughness, both mental and physical toughness. And sometimes Gary has to bring me in and be like, but watch the skill, and because he understands nuances to the game that I don't understand. But I think that's why we complement each other so well, because I can pick out dogs. I can pick out who loves the game, who will run through a wall, who's a girl who might just play the game because she's good or because she wants that clout and not because she actually loves the sport. And I think I handle that part of it and do my job well there. And I think the fact that Gary can talk about triple threats and body position and elbow alignment and things like that he sees that he knows will translate to the next level. And I think the combination of that mindset and those skill sets, along with both our just blatant honesty and how we evaluate things, is why people gravitate towards the work product we put out.
Anything you want to add, Gary?
Just like what Keith said, those 5 areas: shoot, pass, dribble, play interior defense, and play perimeter defense. Those are the 5 essential things that every basketball player have to be able to do. And so I developed that being an administrator. I was the director of curriculum and instruction at Overhills High School in Harnett, North Carolina, in Spring Lake. And during my time there, I actually came up with this. And I didn't implement it until years later, but I actually came up with the 5 essential things that a basketball player needs to be able to do: shoot, pass, dribble, play perimeter defense, and play interior defense. And that is like a rubric, like a teacher, like when I would go in a teacher's classroom and observe them, I would check lesson plans, check, orderly, check, was the book rolled, updated, check, all those checklists. So that's how I came up with that 5 checklists. And so you will essentially credit each area with a 20 percentile rating. Okay, so if you could play perimeter defense, play interior defense, shoot, pass, but can't dribble, that's an 80%, right? And depending on what school system you were brought up in, I was brought up in the school system in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area in the early 80s. 86 was a B was 86 to 93, right? And then
That's
so
when I
we
was too. I
lowered
think
the
we're around the same
scales.
age, Gary.
Huh?
I think we're around the same age, so yeah, that's how it was
I
for me
mean,
too.
so we lowered the scale to say, okay, now let's make an 80 be a B,
Mhm.
right? And so what essentially we did unknowingly, trying to make the playing fields equal, we've made them uneven. And now we're giving just due to players who are incomplete basketball players.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I was going to put this out on Twitter. I hadn't had a chance to yet, but I was watching the South Dakota State, South Carolina game.
Yeah, we all watched it too.
And this was alarming to me that at the collegiate level, a college player can have the ball at 25 feet and the next closest defender is at the second hash mark, which is 7 feet away from the basket. So that means you gave a girl 12 feet of airspace to take a jump shot, but she did not have enough confidence to take the jump shot.
I said it.
So at the end of the day, we can't bash lower development. We can't bash high school development. If you have a college player that's on the #1 team in the country that is scared to shoot there was 5 people within a 5-foot radius inside of the paint defensively below the second hash mark from the free throw line. Like, that is just unreal. And you can't talk about development. And that right there, as long as those things can happen, that's going to, in my opinion, that's going to prohibit the game from growing, because people are coming to see the young lady play. I'm not going to say anybody's name, but they're coming to see the young lady play. You can't even get an opportunity to see her play because it's 5 people within 5 feet of her. And then everybody that you put around her, you got shooters that, I mean, it's just amazing. That was just amazing to see. But getting back to the lack of skill development. So those 5 areas are just important to me. You have to be able to shoot the basketball in this age. And so it just goes back to how long we have been underdeveloping players. And now let's just look at it in a bigger picture internationally now, from the NBA, because the NBA drives what happens on the women's side. We've seen in the first time in NBA history, 3 foreigners are the best players in the NBA, legitimately are the best players in the NBA, 3 foreigners. So what does that say about our product in American basketball in general? It says that we are we have a veil over our eyes. Then you go look at UConn's roster. If UConn was the bar that we're going to judge it, UConn has 4 international players. So you're telling me there's not enough good players in America? So what I'm saying is there's a bigger trend that's happening here, and it's starting with development. And let's even look at the USA basketball. The best girls who are 18 and 19 years old, they're not playing for their countries. They're playing professional basketball. So even when we go over and win a gold medal, are we really beating the best that the world has to offer, because those young ladies are already playing professional basketball? So I just think that in order to keep this game going and to keep it ours, because now I'm just going to get American, I'm going to get patriotic with it. This is our game, and we are letting foreigners and Europeans come over and take over our game because we're not developing. So what we did was we went overseas and we gave them all of the tricks. We took everything that we were doing here. We showed them, you know, even with business, in order to do business in China, you got to give up your whole blueprint. And this is how they're able to run their gray markets and all these other markets, because they have the blueprint. So we've given up our blueprint and we've stopped working to progress the next innovation. And that's what America is about. It's about innovation. And right now we have to be more innovative. We have to get back down to these 5 areas. Can you shoot? Can you pass? Can you dribble? Can you play perimeter defense? And can you play interior defense? And it has to be like that, or we are going to see our game be taken away. It's going to be outsourced, just like when they came up with NAFTA in 1992. They outsourced all of factory jobs. This is going to happen if we don't get back to development and get back to having those 5 skill sets: shoot, pass, dribble, play interior defense, and play perimeter defense.
So Gary, quick question. And so my take, and I don't know if y'all would agree with me, but it seems like we place more of a premium just on pure athleticism than actual skills. Would you agree that's kind of what's inherently wrong with basketball in the US right now? It's like, oh, that person's a great athlete, we need that person on the floor, as opposed to, yeah, she doesn't have a great shot yet, but she's a great athlete, so we're going to take a chance on her. Correct.
And when you look at, I just have to keep making the equivalency of our school system. You know, this is kind of what we're doing in schools now. You know, our better students, we're not challenging them anymore. We're just kind of just letting them coast by. Okay, you're in an honors class. Okay, you get 1.4 for your B. Okay, so that's all I need, because it's still going to give me a 4.2. So I'm still getting the A for a B's work. So I just think that I just think that there's a lot more work to do when we start evaluating talent and start actually developing talent. There's too much emphasis on the athleticism and not on the skill set. Let's look at last year's NCAA women's games. You saw teams with particular skill sets, shooting and passing and dribbling. And all of the girls, I just think about Creighton and how they came out of nowhere. They were all 5 of those girls could shoot, pass, dribble, play interior defense, play perimeter defense. And I'm going to jump to the men's side for another example. The Golden State Warriors, when they were Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond, Klay Thompson, like all 5 of them could shoot, pass, and dribble, play perimeter defense, and play perimeter defense. Let's go back to the Bulls. Tony Kukoc, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. Yeah, Rodman couldn't shoot, but his rebounding was so good that it made up for the shooting. Like when you're overdoing it, you can make up for it through a plus and minus system. So the emphasis on athleticism and the lack of skill development is hurting our game. And it's not just in women's, but it's in men's too. Like YouTube has been the greatest thing, but it's also been the worst thing because everybody is emulating what they see on YouTube. And that does not necessarily equate into effectiveness on a basketball court. Just because you can take 300 dribbles with cones that don't react and don't move, and there's no fans in the crowd, and there's no referees there, that you're almost setting yourself up for failure. And this is what, like, I saw Cameo Williams put this out. It's like all these trainers and moms and dad that want the ball in their baby's hands, where is that same energy when the team is getting pressed? When they see that 1-2-2 press, when they see that 2-1-2 press, when they see that 1-3-1 press, where's that same energy? Now nobody wants to get the ball, but you wanted the ball. And so that just goes back to the lack of development. And I think that once we just get back to that from our initial stages, elementary, middle school, we're going to see, because this 2023 class, and let's just be honest, nationally, this 2023 class has carried travel basketball for the last 4 years, because these 2023s have been playing up for the last 45 years. They've been playing up. And so now we're going to see with this class of 2024 nationally, which is kind of, but that 25 class is really, really strong. But after that 2025 class, we're seeing a huge drop in the level of skill set. And so what we have to do is we have to go back and get back to the basics in those 5 areas again: shoot, pass, dribble, play interior defense, play perimeter defense.
And I think you very well said. I think you hit the nail on the head too with a lot of what you said, and you really touched on the next question of growing the game, and how do we grow the game moving forward. And you touched on those 5 things. Something you wanted to say, Jess?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Keith, what you feel? How do you feel outside of the 5 things that Gary mentioned that were great? His 5 pointers. How do you feel about growing the game or just developing players to help grow the game better?
Well, I mean, in modern society in 2022, let's be honest, you don't have to put out a good product necessarily to win the ratings game. I don't want to come across as snarky or sarcastic, because Gary's a savant when it comes to the actual technicalities of the game. I just think to grow the game, we just got to put more light on the game. These girls are talented. They've got great personalities. The game is a beautiful game to watch because clearly, except for a couple or three or four girls, nobody's playing above the rim. So it's its own unique, beautiful game into itself. We just have to, as media, and I love what you guys do, and this is why I gravitated towards you guys initially. You have to just be willing and able to highlight all the great stories, all the great athletes, all the great games that make up this game we know as girls basketball. It's a great product. We just need more people like Ball Log, more people like Gary Bell to continue to promote the sport, because ultimately it's got so many tentacles in society of where we are as a society right now. I mean, besides being an attorney, I'm also a history teacher. And I always tell my female students, I was like, you guys weren't even allowed to vote until 1919 or 1920 when the 19th Amendment was ratified. I mean, we're playing catch up now. We're giving women their flowers. We want women and our young women to realize that you can be and do whatever you want to do in a society. So there's a willingness and a thirst to see our game grow. And it's a great game. We just need more people to invest the time, energy, and effort to spotlight it. And that's why I thank God for Gary Bell and others like him and you guys who have the ability to create a platform that can help grow the game. I think this is what's needed, but it's also needed. This is needed not just in Knoxville. It's needed, like you said, in Tuscaloosa, and it's needed in Baton Rouge, and it's needed in Albany, New York, and it's needed in Omaha, Nebraska, because they're great stories and great young female athletes playing basketball all over this country. And the more we get that story out there, I think that will grow the game in and of itself. And then, like Gary says, if we can back that up with an increased product, an increased quality of product, then the sky's the limit.
Awesome. You guys, before we get out of here, do you want to tell us how people can catch up with you, the nights that you guys air your show, and how they can follow you on social media platform?
You can follow me on social media, on Twitter. That's MMBR _ Coach G Bell. I also run Major Moves Media. That's at Major Moves with a Z Media on Twitter as well as Instagram. And it's hard to predict where I'm going to be, but thankfully, my 2-year-old is now, I'm gonna talk in women's numbers here, 36 months. All right, she's approaching 36 months now. Okay. So all my ladies out there, y'all know what that is. All the men is trying to divide 12 into 30 and trying to figure out, and they couldn't do remainders anyway when they was in math class. So as she gets older, you're gonna be seeing her out, and the doctors said she's off the 99%. She's over the 99 percentile. So she's gonna be about 6'3". She's gonna be the #1 girls player to ever play the game. She's going to be able to break through to the NBA. That's how good she's going to be. Okay. So you're already hearing that right now. I'm already putting that out in the air. She's going to come to Tennessee. Okay. She's going to come to Tennessee because we got the Tennessee connection. Okay. We got Candace Parker, whose daddy is from Joliet. Shout out to Big Dave. All right. And Anthony. Okay. We got Tamika from Stevenson. So we got that Illinois connection already. So, hey, I just thank y'all for having me. Again, sometimes I get long-winded, but it's just the passion talking. It's just the passion talking. I just love young women, and I want to make sure all the young women, because I'm the only and the oldest boy. So I have 3 sisters, okay? 3 sisters and 2 daughters and a wife. So that's all I know is women, and I love them, and I want to make sure that they get what they got.
Awesome.
Amen.
Yeah. I have 3 sisters as well, so we share.
Come on, Mike, man. We got
brothers.
eerily similar backgrounds, man.
Only difference is I have 3 boys and 1 girl, and my daughter is in a 99 percentile too. She's about 5 foot. She's only 8, and she wears a size 9 in women's shoes.
Oh,
Crazy.
And I'm 6'4", so doctor says she'll be about 6'2", 6'3" as well. So I'm hoping she get to Tennessee myself. So
Yeah, I was
we
gonna say,
share a lot in
hopefully
common.
gonna be a Lady Vol also.
Hey, look. So now we got to keep Kelly in good health, so she can inherit this 2040 class that's coming.
Exactly.
no doubt.
She'll probably still be working then too. She's still pretty young, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely possible. Awesome.
Keith, you want to give us your
No, I don't know it. Gary can tell you that. I'm where he is, and he is where I am. Like I said, I'm the worker bee. I'm the writer. I am the out in the gym guy. Wherever you can find Gary Bell, you can find me. Like I said, I'm just thankful that he's afforded me this platform, and we're just gonna keep growing it, making it bigger and bigger. We take some slings and arrows from time to time, but that just means we're in somebody's head, and that's a good thing. all publicity is good publicity. So we love it and we cherish it. And I just thank God for Gary and and for giving what he does to this girls' game. We will be in Phoenix over the next couple of days. My daughter has a Nike Tournament of Champions out in Phoenix pre-Christmas tournament, which we're looking forward to. Play Valley View at our first game on Monday afternoon at 3:00. Some young lady who's committed to the University of Washington is averaging 35 points a game.
Wow.
So I can't wait to do a story on her. And we'll keep making this thing bigger and bigger. We take it out to the West Coast because you know what? Girls basketball deserves it. It's a wonderful game. And if we're there, Gary is there, I'll be there, and all you can get there with us because we'll be talking about it.
We love it.
We'll be sharing for you too, to make sure our followers start following you guys as well.
We appreciate that.
And let me give Keith's Twitter handle because he doesn't know it, but I know it. K1 Booker 66. Okay. K1 Booker 66 at K1 Booker 66 MMBR, National Director of Scouting and Evaluation, Keith Booker.
Awesome. And Jess will tag you guys
Coach.
once we post the show update. So we appreciate you guys for joining us. It's been great. I'm sure our viewers will definitely love it, and we look forward to joining you guys on your show as well. Jess is going to go ahead and close us out with all the good things she say at the end to butter us and fluff us up. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. So Gary and Keith, thank you for joining. This was a great conversation, great awareness for women's basketball. That's why we're all here. So really appreciate everything you're doing. Kim, as always, it was nice to have you back. I know we didn't get you last time because you were under the weather. So good to see Coach Kim back, as we call her. Everyone thinks she's coach, and we're just going to roll with it. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Safe travels out to Phoenix. In case you're not following the Vol Log, you can find us on Twitter at VolLog8. We're also on Instagram, and we stream pretty much everywhere. So Spotify, Google, Apple, Anchor FM, you name it, you can find us. So more to come. We'll have some more episodes coming out soon. And guys, again, thank you so very much. Hope you enjoy your Saturday. Some big games today and tomorrow. So I'll be cheering on the men's team tonight against Arizona. And then, of course, the women's team, Lady Vols, play Stanford tomorrow at 3:00. So if you're around, hope you guys can tune in.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you
We'd like
guys.
to close out with a Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
See you guys. Bye.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.